What the fuck's up? We got another episode of Head to Head.
By the way, Matt, if you swear in the opening 5 seconds, it demonetizes your video. I don't know whether you knew that, but that is a thing on YouTube.
We'll give them the money back. We don't need it.
All right. Well, in case you're wondering why there's no adverts on that video, it's because Matt opened with a "What the fuck's up?"
Because we can't do it anymore. That's good to know. We have a head-to-head today in regards to the LA Valiant. And you may question about what, but you've read the title of this, so you have an idea.
Yeah.
Are they a contender or are they a pretender? What are your thoughts, Joshua?
I'm really split on this, Matt. I feel like
are you split because you've been playing Valorant with Packington and you need him to carry you some more in unrated games and you'd like him to do so?
No, No. The reason that I am split on this is because I don't really know what the Valiant's aims are themselves. Like, I'm not sure whether they came into this season expecting to make playoffs, expecting to make top 10.
It's weird.
Like, what was their aim with a bargain basement roster like this? Are they just taking every game as it comes? I don't.
Everybody believes they can win when they have the roster put together. I mean, nobody puts together a roster and then sits down on the first day. It's like, hey guys, we may be kind of shit, but we're gonna do it. Like,
I don't know. I feel like they might be. Like, I don't think there's no way that Valiant did not close up their checkbooks and put their wallets away and find these people and think, yeah, this is the championship roster right here. Like, there's no way they sat down and went, yes,
they probably felt
Giga
like
McGravy will give us this trophy.
They probably felt like they had a puncher's chance, and they were like, okay, if a bunch of these gambles hit, we can do it.
Right, and I think that a bunch of the gambles have hit.
They've hit.
Yeah.
But now you're in a spot where can you get over that hump?
Exactly, and I think that's the at this point in the season, they're 6-6, 20-24, so they have a slight losing record, but they're sat in 10th place overall. And that, I think, is a very good position for the Valiant. Really good.
Yep.
But I'm not sure that they're going to continue to move up the table. I think there's some roadblocks for them moving upwards.
Who's definitely better than them right now?
I would say definitely better within their own division, right? The Fusion, the Shock, absolutely. Mayhem are definitely better than them as well. I think that Paris, when they have previously early on in the season, Paris looked like they were significantly better than the Valiant. But Paris have started to trend downwards, and they've lost but
they'll have Sparkle though, so maybe a difference.
Exactly. So maybe they rebound. And apart from that, I think it's fairly close. It's like this middle pack between the Valiant, the Atlanta Reign, the Gladiators, Dallas. That's the 4 teams that for me are in the middle of the pack in America right now. And I don't really think that Valiant are the team that's going to keep trending upwards the most out of those 4.
Looking at, I got the schedule up because we have the schedule now for an extended period of time. They have 1 game this week against the Justice, put 1 down in the win column. Then next week, let's see, they have no matches on the Saturday, it looks like. And then Sunday they play the Mayhem. So that'll be one where we'll learn a lot about the Valiant. Although you can look at the Mayhem, no Echo in the pool, right? For that week, because I believe it's the first 2 weeks, right, with hero pools. So no Echo in the pool, no Diva, so that hurts Yaki and Gargoyle. So maybe an opportunity.
I don't think that hurts Gargoyle. I think Gargoyle will play Sigma.
I
think that hurts McGravy more than it hurts Gargoyle.
That guy's a fucking freak. Gargoyle is a freak beast.
I think, yeah.
Probably a win for Florida. But then they play the Paris Eternal, which I think is a winnable game. That's
a very interesting one. And that I think has a lot of... Because they recently beat the Paris Eternal 3-2 in the May Melee, which I would consider that to be an upset. And I think that the Valiant have been able to produce these kind of upset results. They beat the Atlanta Reign 3-2 in week 13, which was like a couple of weeks before the May Melee. And they kind of squeak these 3-2 wins. They nearly beat the Gladiators as well.
They can go 2-1 in this tournament, right? Because it's 3 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that there's potential for the Valiant, but when I look at this team, they act like underdogs. Like they're always picking compositions that are designed to throw off their opponents, you know, like the Torbash and this kind of stuff. They're playing to their strengths, which I like. I think all of that is good, but it doesn't. That's not how the top like elite teams play. It gets you upset wins.
And I think like maybe the question should be almost posed at like, because I think we can both agree that they've overperformed the expectations.
Oh yeah, miles
of the season. But I think it's just like, how high do we think they can go?
Yeah.
Or I think where is their ceiling? Like if I said like they were to like, I think they could realistically finish the year 4th in NA. Like, is that considered like, you know, being a meaningful contender? Like, I think it is, because they'd have an opportunity. Think so. I think they can play those top teams relatively close. Like, they won't be blowouts. Do I favor the Valiant in any of those matchups? Absolutely not. Do I think they have a chance to win them? They do, just an outside chance. Now, if you ask me, do I think they can win it all? No. I cannot see them winning at all.
I don't see this team ever going on a spree of wins in a tournament. Like, even when it comes to these micro tournaments that we have, like the May, the June, the July tournaments that have been announced, I don't see the Valiant ever making a deep run. And by deep run, I mean making it to like winning a semi or winning a...
Really?
Yeah,
that's one game and get to a semi.
No, sorry, I don't mean... I mean winning a semi. See, this is the problem. A deep run in a tournament where you only have 8 teams is like actually making it to the finals, right?
So it's one game.
Yeah, like, it doesn't really make sense. But what I mean is I can't ever see them beating a top 4 team in one of these situations. I don't see them ever winning a semi-final.
So you can't see them beating Paris?
But I don't think that if Paris were to make it to a semi, that's the good version of Paris. And so I think that they would actually beat the Valiant. The reason that I say that I don't see them making runs in a playoff format is because I think the Valiant have tailored strategies that are quite out there, like they're curveballs a lot of the time, and they throw other teams off. And because they have such talented players, particularly at like the DPS roles with KSP, he's like the main one, but also Shax when it comes to the Tracer, whenever the Tracer's available. Like those two players can cause large upsets, but once you figure out how to beat them and once you have the game tape on them, I think we saw that like the elite level teams like the Shock absolutely dismantled them. That game was not close at all.
The hero pool format though could allow them to come up with some of those strategies easier, because you're going to have a week in which there's no hero pool, so you'll have an idea what people are going to run for the playoff, and then you can use that week of gameplay plus another week to come up with the strategy, like 2 weeks.
I think that only hurts them, because I think that their strategies are short-term based. Like if you give a team long enough to figure out how to beat the Valiant, I think they will, assuming these are like broadly similar paced teams. But I think that what's been working so well for the Valiant is that they have very smart coaches and smart players who can pick up on trends really fast. Right. Like within a week, they can put together something that pushes you out your comfort zone and can get you wins. And that's how they've been able to scoop wins.
See, I think this is a team that can. It doesn't sound like it's not gonna be some fucking earth-shattering statement, but that they can make like a finals of a tournament or two through the year. Like, I think there's just the way the format's set up, that where, let's say they finish 2-1, right? Most likely they're a top 4 team in NA, so they'd have that bye.
Yeah.
And they win 2 games and they're there? I mean, I think it's doable.
But those 2 games would be against, like for example,
in this... on the off chance they could beat, like, Philly?
Philly are quite a wild team. They sometimes go to 5-map series, but I think that they would be very large underdogs in any game that they had against Philadelphia. It's theoretically possible, but I think over the course of the season, it's unlikely. You look at there's a couple of things that LA Valiant fans will love to bring up, like the fact, for example, that they've played it against the Shock 4 times so far this season, which is fair. Like, 4 of their losses...
You fucking own Valiant fans.
Yeah. And that doesn't count towards the overall playoffs, by the way, that final loss to the Shock. But 3 out of 6 of their Well, actually, they beat the Shock once, so that doesn't even make sense. But 2 out of 6 of their losses have been to the Shock, and one time they beat them as well, which was a fantastic performance. But they have had a pretty rough go at things at the beginning of the season. But their wins came towards the end of the season where they were just beating up on Atlantic teams like Boston and Toronto. And it was a 3-2 game against Toronto as well. Plus, they've had those awesome upsets, like I said, against Atlanta and Paris. So I think that this team, if they continue to trend upwards, needs a good schedule, and they also need to keep delivering upset results.
Well,
and I just think with
a good schedule,
you're going to have a good schedule for the beginning, right?
Because they're going to play against teams pretty much on the East Coast the rest of the way.
Yeah,
you played all your West Coast games, so you get Toronto's, you'll get Vancouver a bunch because they didn't play Vancouver really at all. They'll get Boston, Houston games. They'll get they have 4 or 5 winnable teams there that they're going to play numerous times.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Actually, their schedule should get easier throughout the season.
Who in the East Coast would they be scared of? Philly and Florida?
Yeah, Philly, Florida, and then maybe Atlanta if they get their shit together, because they've previously been on almost exactly equivalent
Paris.
with Atlanta. Yeah, they've been very close to. I mean, they beat Paris and Atlanta in their most recent games, but they were not easy games. They were really tough, and they easily could have gone the other way. So,
but still, looking at all of those matches and only maybe 2 losses in there, that's a strong stretch of games and wins.
Yeah, true. So yeah, you're kind of persuading me here, Matt, that they might end up making it to a playoff scenario. But once they get to the playoffs, I don't know about you, but I just have no faith in this team.
Look, I don't think they are the favorites to beat anybody really at the top, but I don't think I think that they have the capability to get an upset or two. We've seen teams come out at the end of the season and kind of have these runs where look at Philly in season 1. They weren't tremendous, right? But then the playoffs happened and they came alive a little bit. Last year, was kind of cut and dry, right? Last year Vancouver was destroying everybody. The Shock lost, but then destroyed everybody on their way to the end. But do I think that with a KSP and Shax and KSF, that those damage dealers could get them 2 wins in a playoff? I think so. In the right meta, I absolutely think it's possible.
And I guess the question is, do you think that they're going to be able to overtake the Atlanta Reign, the Paris Eternal?
I think they could overtake Atlanta. I have not been impressed with what I've seen from Atlanta this year. And I think with how we're talking about this team overperforming, I think you can make a real strong case that Atlanta, with some of the roster moves that they made, have underperformed. Or maybe we just kind of hyped them up to a point where they were never going to fulfill those expectations. Can they get... I think this team has the potential to be better than a Paris or Atlanta. Yeah, in the standings.
Atlanta also have not played against the Titans, so they should play against them a bunch of times. Yeah. They've only played against Boston once, and they've played against Philly twice as well. And yeah, so I don't know. I feel like it's going to be a close race between Valiant and Atlanta, and I think that Paris should be able to stay ahead. I still feel like Dallas have got a good case for being able to come up and overtake a team. Do I feel better about the Dallas Fuel in a playoff scenario than I do about the Valiant?
Probably.
Yeah, I think so, actually. Which might be weird to say, considering that Dallas are 4-6, whereas Valiant are 6-6. But
I don't think it's as crazy as it sounds, because the reasons you like the Dallas Fuel are for Doa and Decay, and I think the reasons you like the Valiant are because of KSP
and Shax mainly,
etc. And you think that Doa and Decay is an explosive duo, so you would think that they have a better chance to win than the Valiant.
Yeah, and I think the overall team system, I think the players around, I think that the tank line in particular is a bit better on the Dallas Fuel, but I think that the coaching and the ability to find niche strategies that work really well is better for the Valiant. So I think that the coaching within hero pools has really pushed them to this 6-6, and with that starting to be relaxed and time opening up to find counter strats, I don't know whether Valiant are still going to have that edge.
Well, although we do disagree sometimes, I think the one thing that we can both agree on here is that the Valiant have definitely overperformed expectations this season.
Yeah.
They've been they've been a nice surprise for a team that we thought may have set the record for some of the fastest matches, but they've been playing great.
And I had a bet with Custer that I would shave the Valiant logo into my hair if they finish top 10. And can't fulfill that bet anymore, can I? Because I'm bald as hell.
I saw you trying to fucking glue hair onto your face the other day, trying to be me on stream. I mean, you're just you've gone off the deep end with quarantine.
Yeah, I've lost it.
But you know, it happens. Let us know what you guys think. Do you think the Valiant can contend and win a few playoff series and, you know, come up with a third or second place finish? Or do you think they'll just be a nice regular season story and flame out in the playoffs? Let us know what you think in the comments below. We promise we'll read them.
I read them all.